I like this platform.
Yeah. All right. So we are live here. I've got my friend Ronnie here with me today. Ronnie is super cool. She's really talkative too, so I feel like we're going to have some great conversations this morning. I want to start by saying I met Ronnie through mutual friends, I guess you could say. I met Ronnie through this kind of community that we have where we just kind of meet like-minded people. We step out of our comfort zones, and it's all about self-improvement. So, Ronnie, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. So we met in a project community called the Perspective Project, and we're on a third-party platform, but it's much more than just the platform itself, and it will be continuing to grow as we expand. Just a conscious community of people who want to better themselves, who want to get out of the norm of activities that are the norm, and it's pretty awesome. Definitely fits the mode of getting out of your comfort zone. You gotta get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Because I actually don't know where I heard this, but staying in your comfort zone, like your comfort zone will kill you, probably over time. But I like thinking about that, especially with things like stepping out and like meeting new people and branching out from what is considered normal, at least in my lifetime, in my experience. Like, it's not normal to like join some community of like-minded people, like hop on calls and like be committed to posting on this app that we have, and it's really small right now, but just like focusing on the vision and like being surrounded by those people. Like when you're friends with people that are focused on self-improvement, then you're also going to focus on self-improvement.
Absolutely.
So
who you surround yourself with as well.
Yeah. One thing I really enjoy. So like, I'm sitting chilling with my roommates, and now I'm like, all right, I'll be back in a few minutes. And they're like, oh, time for that gentleman's call. I'm like, yeah, we're having the men's call tonight.
They should hop on too.
Yeah, I know. It's not their thing though. That's what I mean about like branching off. Like you're in that comfort zone and you experiencing normality, and then you decide, all right, I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone and I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna connect with these people who have the same vision as me and want the same thing.
Yeah, I always say I'll try everything once, just for the experience. If I don't like it, cool. Now I know that. Yeah.
What's one thing that you tried in the last month? Like, what's one thing that you tried in January that you liked?
Well, I'm taking a public speaking class, and as far as getting out of my comfort zone and trying things, having to stand up in front of a full classroom and read a organized speech, it was pretty cool though, because my message got across to all of those people, and all of those people have no idea what the healing arts are, or what the word metaphysical even means, like supernatural, all of that, like no clue. So it was cool to be able to extend my message to that many people at once.
That I can see how a public speaking class would be so helpful, like stepping out of your comfort zone, because first of all, like, I'm super outgoing, but when you put me in front of people and, like, all eyes are me, something just, like, clicks.
It is terrifying. There's, like, a statistic that, I don't know the percentage exactly, but most people would rather be unalived than to stand in front of a group of people and talk. And I'm like, wow, like, well, really? And when I first heard that, I was like, that's crazy. Like, I can talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody about anything. But there is a big difference with nerves when you're put in front of a group. Absolutely.
I agree 100%. How many times have you gone up in front of your class and spoken?
One time in person and then 2 times recorded. So it wasn't as big of a group the times that had to be recorded because it's a hybrid class. So,
okay, what was the time in person the first time you did it, or the middle time?
It was the middle time.
The middle time?
The 2 out of the 3. Yeah.
Okay, I'd be interested to know how you do next time you go up in person.
Yeah, I want to record it next time. I meant to do it this time so I can, like, see my improvement and compare it to my recordings, but I forgot.
Yeah, one thing I notice when I'm, like, in front of people and when other people are in front of people, like, they're the center of attention, they'll kind of meander and be like, or they'll go, like this, like that.
Word fillers.
Yeah, I don't know, I think that's really cool. Sometimes, I mean, maybe it's not, like, the nicest thing, but sometimes I'll count how many times people say like.
Yeah, no, that's important, though.
I do the same thing, though. I do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. She does that for us as well.
Yeah, it's it's definitely so, like, it's definitely perspective changing, though. But and just like anything, it's an acquired skill. You just practice, and you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
So Ronnie, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? What where you came from, what you're doing, what your vision is.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Arizona, in a city called Mesa, south of Phoenix. And I moved out to the Carolinas 2015 with my family. Is this lagging, or am I...
I have no clue.
Okay.
I see that too, but
Okay.
I might be able to go on, like, a low data mode.
Okay. I just saw it, and I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, no, I just cut you off.
I'm still here.
No, it's cool. It's just the video. Like, your audio is fine, so if you just want to keep talking.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, and so, yeah, I was born and raised in Arizona. I moved out here with my family in 2015 for my dad's job. He got relocated, and we have I went to high school in North Carolina, in Monroe area. I graduated from Sun Valley. I went there all 4 years. It was a good time to move because it was in between my 8th grade and my freshman year. So it was, kind of a clean break. Entering high school as, like, the new girl from across the country was a challenge for sure. It had its own issues in itself, but they all turned out fine. And
that's good.
Yeah, and then we moved out to Fort Mill after I graduated, and I have been in CNA care for a while since I graduated. I got my CNA degree and as a dual enrollmentship my senior year. So I am a caretaker. I am a healer. And that is the big end goal, is to persist with my education and continue in natural health and alternative remedies, and just really emphasizing the whole person rather than just the infected part of them that Western medicine really focuses on.
Yeah, I think that's quite fascinating when you start to look into alternative practices rather than kind of the stuff that we are engulfed in here. So I definitely have a lot of respect for people that branch out and do that. And that's another thing, stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something that's not, socially acceptable. And in some cases, it's not allowed here. So there's lots that goes into it. Have you ever thought of, like, going abroad and, like, learning alternative practices in different parts of the world? Because, that stuff is not readily available here.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Nice.
I don't even know how to begin that, but I know in my soul that I am just meant to travel and explore all these places and see what they have to offer me. So it's definitely on my list. It's on the list for sure.
That's awesome. One thing I noticed, like, you say you don't know how. I don't know how a lot of things will happen for me, but as long as you, like, have trust in whatever higher power, or just the fact that your vision will come to surpass, you won't have to worry about how something will come up. It will just appear in your timeline, and if you believe that, it will happen so magically. A few things have happened for me already. and then I've like read them in like books and stuff. And I'm sure if you like talk to Kyle and Kayla, they'll tell you the same thing. So yeah, I know that will happen for you, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah,
For sure.
I agree too. I agree.
So yeah, that's one thing with the perspective. Like we all have these crazy visions. Like you're crazy. It's not crazy. It's just super. It's so optimistic, and it's like addicting to be optimistic too when you're surrounded by those optimistic people. Because you can tell your optimistic goals to people who are kind of engulfed into this cycle that was built for us. So you tell people things, and they give you that look. Have you ever told someone like your vision? They just give you a look, and it's like there's something going on up there that they can't compute, because they've been kind of trained to have these limiting capabilities on their mind, and really what a lot of us need to learn how to do is to eliminate these limitations on our mind, because we like keep our mind trapped in a box when our mind is like the most powerful thing that we'll ever have, and no one can develop a machine that's more powerful than our mind. So I think
absolutely, that's why it's important to take care of it as well.
Yeah, I know, and just kind of like emotionally and I guess consciously detach from things so that you can practice things from a different perspective. Like if you just practice detachment, even on a minuscule scale, you'll be able to have a lot more mental clarity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like one thing I practice with detachment is like I used to be obsessed with how things will work out and how I can make things work out and what I can do to, I don't know, have everything go the way I want it to go. But after trial and error, you realize this is not going to go the way that I like want it to go. I have to like kind of detach from it and realize that whatever does happen is right for me. Whether that's whatever God is doing or like the universe is aligning for me, whatever you believe. I think that it's important to realize everything happens for me. So like with the way that you were brought up and like the journey that you're on, everything happens for you.
Absolutely, getting out of like a victim mindset. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And understand that it's happening for you and for the best good. Exactly,
because we all come from different places and everyone's story is so unique, and like people have been through some stuff. I think everybody can say for themselves that there's a degree of things that they've gone through, and it's like your perspective on how that happened. You can sit there and complain, or you can look at it and say, this is good for me, and learn from it and come back stronger.
Yeah, and there's another thing about that too, is I used to always try to compare my upbringing to other people's, or my experiences to other people's, and looking at it in a way that doesn't diminish what I go through, because it doesn't look as severe as somebody else's.
And things from the outside, like when you're comparing yourself to other people, you only see what happens on the outside.
Absolutely.
Like if you're going to the gym and you're comparing yourself to somebody else, you're only seeing that person for those you're probably only watching them for that one set. You're only watching them for a couple minutes, and so you're only seeing that little glimpse of who they are. And so when you compare yourself, you're comparing yourself to someone that you don't like. You only see 30 seconds of who they are. I struggle with it too. That's probably one of the biggest things I struggle with is self-comparison. Like what you said, they're on their journey. My parents are divorced, and so I would compare myself to one of my best friends growing up. He came from his family, they're close, and the parents love each other, everything seems to be perfect, but like when I'm not there, I don't know what's going on. I don't know
Right.
how happy my friend actually is, and I don't know how good of parents they are. I only see what I see when I'm there. And it's been my own my own battle.
Yeah. I did this when I was younger, and I was it's like 15, I think, when my struggle with depression. Let me not say struggle. When my journey with depression started, and I remember being, I don't know if it was from what I was being told or what my mind was just telling me, but talking about how I have all of these things. Why am I so sad? Like I have a roof over my head. I have clothes. I have food to eat. All these things were limited. They were available, and I remember feeling so bad about feeling bad.
Yeah.
And it was it's all a journey. It's all a journey.
It definitely is a journey, and that's where like detachment can also come in, where you detach from your thoughts, because your thoughts arise from all the societal conditioning that you go through as a child, because at a young age you're just a sponge. You soak in every single thing that's spoken to you and done to you. Every single thing has a little effect on who you will be and who you become, because it's just the way a child's brain works, because they're trying to create a formulation of how the world, like what the world is and how it works. So then when you get to that certain age, you're dealing with these thoughts that come from those previous years, and you don't realize that you're actually not your thoughts, and that you can just be the observer of those thoughts, because your thoughts come and you have the choice whether to materialize it and to give it your energy, or you can just let it pass by you.
For sure.
So that was one, that's another thing that, that I'm working on right now. And I think a lot of people, it's an ongoing thing, just being the observer of your thoughts and detaching from that and the emotion that it tries to bring into you.
Yeah, because emotions are big. Those ones are not as easy to just observe sometimes.
100%, because you can get so caught up in like, you just attach importance to what it is, and so your emotions are attached to that importance.
Yeah.
And then when you're caught up in importance, like something is super important to you, and you don't practice that detachment, then your emotions get tied in, and you actually you're worse off than how you would be if you just detached from it. And when you're not detached from something, you're not in the present moment. You're kind of stuck in that, short-sightedness, one-dimensional. But when you're detached and you're in the present moment, you're thinking, you're consciously thinking. And the thing that comes up for me is jiu-jitsu. So I practice jiu-jitsu, and if you attach importance to something and you get emotional, and like the other person that you're sparring with, they're not emotional, they're not detached, they're just going, you have a certain disadvantage because you attached importance to what's going on, and you are emotional if something doesn't go your way, and so then you're more apt to fail, because you're not hyper focused, you're not lasered in on this exact present moment like the other person. And then you get emotional, and then it becomes important to you, and you end up feeling down because you made one mistake. I've had times where I made a mistake, and I'm like just so upset with myself, and I would walk out and just be really upset. And then now I've had to spend a lot of time meditating and getting through that, and now it's like, all right, you made a mistake, good, like that's fine. Mistakes happen, and I'm okay now because I'm practicing detachment from this. So I always go back to jiu-jitsu because it's a lot of mental training.
Yeah. So I took a martial arts class a few weeks ago, and that's my only experience in that type of area. So what is jiu-jitsu?
What kind of martial arts did you do? I want to ask that first.
It was more like a self-defense thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I can give you the information for a women's self-defense thing after we're through. Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's. I think it's really good for everybody to know. Kids, women, men, just so that you can have that confidence and mental clarity when you're just out and about. Because if something happens, you've had the training and you can do enough to just like run away.
Right.
But jiu-jitsu is the thing that I can most compare it to people who like have never trained it before is wrestling. Like it's ground stuff, like stuff on the ground, and there are takedowns from your feet. Like you'll practice like a throw or something and integrate it with jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But it's like a limitless version of wrestling, I guess, and like wrestlers will come in and make common jiu-jitsu mistakes, but it's because they only have done wrestling where it's more. I think wrestling is more set in like boundaries. I don't even know how to explain it. And I don't know if this is giving you any clear idea.
No, it does. It does make sense. It does make sense. I mean, I've seen wrestling done before, so.
Yeah, but if you ever watch MMA or like UFC, and they're punching and kicking each other, but then they like go and they start like one guy tackles the other guy, and they're like one guy's on top of the other guy, and they're like fighting like with their legs, and then they're also like doing a little hand fight, and one guy's trying to advance his position. So like that is jiu-jitsu, and
specifically it's on the floor though.
Yeah, it's on the floor, and it's so technical. And the thing I like about jiu-jitsu is there's no one body type, and there's no age or size that it fits. It's jiu-jitsu's for everybody. You can't be too old, you can't be too young, you can't be too big, you can't be too small. There's somebody who's like late 60s. He comes in and trains. He's got white hair, but he's awesome.
I love it.
And there's I'm one of the smallest guys in the gym, but I'm still there. One of my instructors is like 5'6" and 130 pounds, and he's a black belt, and he kicks all of our butts. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu just teaches you. Yeah, you get to learn the cool stuff, but it also, is that mental training where, someone will always be better than you at something, and that's okay. Just accept it, and it's another thing like the Perspective Project where you are surrounded by like-minded people who are it's a common vision, shared goal. We all just want to get better. We're all there. Everyone walks in those doors because they want to get better. And jiu-jitsu has the highest dropout percentage of all martial arts. And it takes the longest to get your black belt in. It takes at least 10 years. And in Taekwondo, you go and train Taekwondo, you get your black belt in 2 years. It does not happen like that in jiu-jitsu. It's a process, it's a journey. And something that jiu-jitsu has taught me that has been so important for me, at least in the past month or two, is a lot of times when I've told you about detachment and detaching from things, we can become so short-sighted. And jiu-jitsu is so long-term and far-sighted. And so I would get upset, and that was out of my short-sightedness. And jiu-jitsu is such a long-term thing that my little thing that I attached so much importance to had no relevance in the long term. You know what I mean? And so I've been able to translate that concept into things that happen, in my day-to-day life or with, work or anything like that. It's like if you detach yourself from what bad thing happened, whatever you label to be bad, it's actually something so small in the long term.
Yeah.
So that's my little jiu-jitsu rant, everyone.
Yeah, I think I like that you say whatever you label to be bad, because there's a gray area with labeling things bad and good, because not everything is bad for everybody and not everything is good for everybody, and then you also 100%. Look at it from a short-term and a long-term perspective as well.
Yeah, playing with the short-term and the long-term thing is a game changer. Like little blips in the road that you can be upset about are no longer bothering you, because what does that look like in the long term? Well, it's irrelevant. And I forgot what I was going to say, but I was going to say it.
My mom always said, this isn't going to affect you in a few years, so don't give it all your energy now, all year.
Yeah, and it's so hard sometimes to like realize, because you're so, you see what's right in front of you, and you want to say, okay, this is bad because X, Y, and Z. There's so many things that this can be an example for, but you just, it's hard to step out of that and realize that, this is just one thing in the long-term vision. I guess one thing is like when something doesn't work out with your significant other, like if you're dating this guy or girl and it doesn't work out and you're really upset about it because, you have importance to that thing. Like, it's okay to have importance to your significant other because, what you're supposed to, right? And then it doesn't work out and you're completely shell-shocked. And, it might take you a while to get over it. But, that's all you see in that moment because you've attached importance to that person. And by no way is that wrong because, you have to have feelings for this person or for that person. But in the long term, maybe you do get back together, it works out, okay. That little blip taught you something, I'm sure. But if you don't get back together, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to you, to be honest. And like when you're in the heat of the battle, I guess you could say, you're in, you're in that moment or that time. It doesn't seem that way. Yeah. But, everyone else will tell you, oh, you'll be fine, we're going to get through this, and you're going to feel so much better. But it doesn't seem like it.
Right, because you can't see past what it is in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought about, too, changing the terms good and bad to positive and negative.
That's good.
Yeah, because it's definitely more beneficial that way for, like, the direct impacts of things.
Yeah, I started to change like the word problem into challenge.
Yeah.
Like if I'm faced with a quote unquote problem, this just becomes a challenge, like a puzzle for me to solve.
Right. And also to-do list, get to-do list, things that you get to do rather than things that you have to do.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one before. Like instead of saying I have to go to work, you say I get to go to work.
Right.
Even though, like, it doesn't seem like like a great blessing to go to work. You say, "Oh, I gotta work today."
Yeah. Oh, I have to go to work. Oh, I'm dreading it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get to go to work. Let's look for a positive opportunity out of this.
Yeah, and when you look for positive things, they just start to appear.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't even have to go look for it anymore. They'll just appear. Like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yes.
Like one thing I've been practicing on a regular basis, past couple months I want to say, is just gratitude, expressing gratitude for things. Sometimes it'll be like for multiple days in a row, and then other times, I'll not post about it in the Mighty Networks, but I'll still be like grateful for stuff. I think it's been a few days since I posted my gratitude, so I think I'm gonna do a little something after we're done here. But gratitude is so huge for like your mental space. I mean, they did a study where severely depressed patients practice gratitude once a week, and their severe depression turned to like next to no depression and anxiety.
Right.
Once a week, practicing gratitude, writing a list of things that they're grateful for. Once a week, change their severe depression. And it's something that I'll practice on an almost day-to-day basis. Almost. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect.
Yeah. No, it is so important. It is so important because then it forces you to look at the positive of things. And if you're stuck in a negative mindset, then kind of forces you to go out. It can be a challenge for sure to pull yourself out of a place where you're looking at everything as like such a burden and everything is just so dark and foggy. But to realize that it's actually not, and it's just your perspective on it. So if you flip that perspective, you can change your reality.
Exactly. It's perspective. Reality is just perspective. And people aren't. We are not taught this by anybody. Like you kind of have to break out. You have to break out of it to realize that like your reality is based on your perspective, and it's all based on how you treat your mind and how your thought patterns are.
Absolutely.
So, and like
it all starts in your head. It all starts in your subconscious. So it's so important to be conscious of your subconscious. Like when you're not paying attention to your mind, when you're not paying attention to your thoughts, what do they sound like? Are they kind? Are they diminishing? Are they are you really strict and hard on yourself? And a lot of the times this is just regular for you because you live in your mind. So it's not something that we're going to become aware of until we are asked about. And yeah, being conscious, being aware, so important.
I agree 100%. And what's the statistic with your subconscious mind? It's like your subconscious mind is active. I think it's 95 or 98% of the time, where your subconscious is always listening. What was it?
I said that sounds about right. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it's like something like 95, 98, something like that. But your subconscious is always listening. Your subconscious is always tuned in, even when you're sleeping. Like if you fall asleep with the TV on, your subconscious is still listening to that. And it kind of, your subconscious is what kind of programs your thought patterns and your conceptualization of what, reality is, because that is where your kind of thoughts come from, that deep part of your brain. That's where those thoughts arise from. And the first part of taking control of your subconscious is being aware of it. Being aware of the fact that your subconscious is always listening. When you're listening to music, and let's say you're listening to music about like drugs and sex and murder and stuff like that, like your subconscious is listening, even though the beat's catchy and you can like sing all the words, that's great, but your subconscious is listening to you singing along and hearing this it's like a spell. And your subconscious is so malleable to that.
And that
so
goes for everything you consume.
100%. Consumption is not just food.
Not at all.
So you kind of tell your subconscious, with whatever you consume, like it's forming thought patterns and behaviors based on what you're consuming. And so, at least for me, after I became aware of the fact that, my subconscious was always listening and always active and, taking in information by whatever I feed it, it kind of made me want to change after a while. Like, after a while, like, slowly, I kind of started to change what I consume. Like, I don't listen to that kind of music anymore. I don't eat bad foods. I will not, eat processed foods. That's just a choice that I make. And it's out of, at the core, it's out of the love for myself. And it's also out of the fact that I want to give myself the best things, consume the best things possible. Like, is this going to be the best thing for me?
The most positive.
For my vision.
Positive, benefiting.
Most positive, most fitting. Exactly.
Impactful.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about your side hustle with your jewelry and your art and your creativity?
I would love to. So, I have a business called Our Weight Create, and it is my creations. I have been an artist my whole life. My mom is an artist. She's an art teacher, art major in education. And so I've always had the materials at hand, but being able to bring my inner visions to life has been so therapeutic for me. And I started getting into energy healing, and that includes crystals. And so I started getting into the properties of crystals, and putting some. I had a client at one of the assisted living facilities I was working at, and she could no longer use the tools, and wires and beads to do what she wanted to do. And so she gifted it all to me, and it was around the same time I was getting into this stuff, so I put it together. I put it all together and was able to create wearable healing art. And it's been super awesome. And I started dabbling into some other things, so got into soldering with
Can you explain
copper
what that
wire.
is?
Yeah, so it's melting metal onto a copper foil tape that would be wrapped around the stone, and then you would solder on a metal bale to it, and then put it onto a chain to wear. And it goes a little deeper than that as far as like actual metal smithing and metal work. And I just recently took a class to learn how to do all that. I made this beautiful ring and
Made that?
Yeah, I made that.
Wait, put that up to the camera. You made that.
I made it.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, it was fun because I got to design it, like on paper, the exact stencil for the outside of the ring. Yeah, it was so worth my time and my money to take that and experience it. And now I'm very confident I can do all that myself. I just have to invest in the materials to do it. And I'm looking forward to it for sure. So, yeah, so multimedia artist though, because I've gotten into wood burning too. Putting.
Oh, I remember you said something about that before.
Yeah. So I'm putting like mandala designs on bowls and plates, and other pieces of wood. I have kind of like an at-home studio, and so half of my bedroom I kind of have like a studio space, and so half of my bedroom is my workspace, and I paint acrylic, watercolor, colored pencils, pencil and pen, basically all of it.
That is awesome. I still can't get over the fact that you made your own ring, and it looks awesome.
I know.
It looks awesome. That is cool. So, what is like your favorite thing to do, like artistically or creatively? Creatively.
Creatively, I love to. But there's something so special to me about like the visual arts. So in a sense of when I have some sort of download of an image, and putting it onto a paper or a canvas. There's no better feeling than having a vision and bringing it to a visual, like a tangible visual. It's really awesome. And I love the way the emotion behind my art can come out to other people. So there's been situations at my events where somebody picks up one of my paintings and like start crying. And I'm like,
oh my God, no, tell the story.
Yeah, so I was at a Baxter Festival, which is out here in Fort Mill, and the piece is called Ethereally Escaping, and it's a woman climbing up a ladder, reaching up towards a big white moon. And the background is kind of colorful. It's almost like a sunset sky, and there's like purple and blue mountains on the bottom. And she picked up and she's like, "Wow, like this is gorgeous." And she was really moved by it. And I have messages on the back of each piece. So these are prints of my paintings. And I have messages on the back of each about the inspiration behind it and the message that I am conveying. And she read that and just started crying. And the piece is about... And as soon as she picked it up, I know what people's struggles are, depending on what they gravitate towards in my art. Because if this, same thing with the crystals, like if something is calling out to you, it's because that's the type of healing energy that you need to embody and incorporate into your life. So as soon as she picked it up, I knew she was struggling with some mental battles of the mind, and that's what the message is escaping it, and knowing that you're not stuck there. And it really moved her, and it moved me, and we just hugged each other and was crying for a couple minutes, and it was beautiful, and it makes it all worth it. It makes it all worth it, being able to share it.
That is amazing. I'm moved by that myself. The fact that just happened, that happened, like, and there's something called divine timing. And I think that, like, the timelines between, like, your art thing and then her being there and, like, looking at it.
Yes.
Like, you know, she could have been on, like, she could have gotten a phone call right before approaching your like, little desk and totally, like, walked past it. But the fact that she was just there in that moment, and that was, like, totally something that just was random, but it's also meant to happen.
Right, yeah, I don't believe in coincidences.
Oh, me neither.
It wasn't like, I coincidentally happened to stumble across this photo, or this picture that you have here. Yeah, no, like, you are literally, like, placed by God.
Yeah.
So I always love seeing who stumbles across my booth and who spends time.
And I thought it was really interesting when you said that people gravitate to whatever, like, painting or crystal, like, they need the healing for. Like, you can tell when they're struggling.
Yeah.
Like, now I want to do that. I want to, like, approach one of your tables and, like, see what painting and what crystals I gravitate to, just so you can give me some little reading.
Yeah.
And give me some clarity.
And, sometimes people don't. Sometimes they just walk in and they can just appreciate the art and appreciate my work, which is appreciated as well. But I really do it for the healing purposes. I'm in the middle of trying to almost rebrand, with the emphasis on healing. So I just changed my Instagram bio on my art account.
That is, like, attached to the wall. I want to show you a painting that I have that I bought, like, a couple of years ago, and I still have it with me because it, like, embodies, like, the journey. I don't know. I saw it at a coffee shop in Waxhaw, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to get this. I don't know how well you can see that. Yeah. And so it's like, it's kind of like the guy opening himself up.
Yeah,
and,
he's, like, opening up his chest and this light is coming out.
Yeah, and then he's got his third eye and there's just, like, some cool nature stuff in the background.
Oh, that's so fitting for you.
Yeah, I saw it, and when I saw it, I knew I had to get it. And it's been hanging up on my wall ever since. So yeah, when you talked about gravitating to art, that was one thing that came straight to my mind. And then when you said gravitate towards crystals, I have always had some, like, intuitive, I don't know what word to use, but fondness of amethyst. Like, I have amethyst, and actually I had this amethyst rock, like, this whole thing that I got in the mountains one time, and it dropped and broke in two, and then it, like, broke in two, and two little things came off, and I was like, oh my god, you can make this into a necklace. So, like, now, and then I got this, like, download or vision or something that I'm supposed to make this into a necklace with, like, my, like, soulmate or something. Like, that was the download that I got. Yeah, like, you see what this would be perfect for a necklace. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't even know how, like, it, like, fell, and I'm not even kidding you. It broke into two pieces like this, and then, like, little, like, tiny crystals. Yeah, that's called a cluster. That form of it is called a cluster, and I think those are called, like, the teeth of the cluster. And they're easy. They're very easy to wrap, actually. I've been thinking about teaching a class of wrapping. I think you should do it. I swear anybody can do it, man. Like, I taught myself through YouTube. Yeah, I looked up a video of how to do it, and it looked like you just had to get like a pair of pliers and some like brass wire from Hobby Lobby, and you would be able to wrap it.
Yeah. Copper is really good for crystals because it's an amplifier.
Oh, that's right.
I don't work with a lot of copper because visually it's not as appealing as like gold or silver, and I kind of like the classier kind of look.
Yeah.
But I do have some things just require like some things just have to be in copper for it to be best.
And like, not to branch off here, but in terms of the copper, I'm pretty sure it's some kind of like esoteric practice that we stopped doing with agriculture. But if you stuck like a copper rod into like wherever your garden is, it would like totally fertilize your plants.
Wow.
And it would make them huge and luscious. Yeah, it's a thing that we just stopped doing ever. I don't know why. But yeah, I would definitely like to try the copper stuff on the amethyst, because we have this uncle that is like super into artifacts and like collecting these crystals stuff. Like he literally got us a gator head. Like it's a gator that they like, I don't know, it was dead, and then they like mummified the head or something. It's just chilling on our garage.
Oh, wow.
And he gave us some like cool like fossils and stuff. He gave me this like megalodon shark tooth, and then we have a bunch of amethyst, like this huge amethyst thing. I swear it's like this big. It's so awesome, and it's like just something that I've always like. It's always been there, and it's something that I like loved looking at and like touching as a kid.
Yeah.
And, like, now I like just love amethyst.
Yeah, it intrigues me also when kids get. When kids gravitate towards crystals and towards art, you know, a lot of parents will just like chop it up to, oh, they like the colors. And I'm like, yeah, they like the colors, but they also can energetically feel what this is providing to them. And so it's funny that as a kid you gravitated towards amethyst, and you're still that way now, because amethyst is a very special stone for spirituality and enlightenment. And so to see how that has unfolded for you in your adult life.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but you do have a point in saying where kids can sense it. Kids just
Absolutely.
know. It's like when you're a kid, you use your imagination for things, and that thing was real. And then, you know, as you get older and you get calcified by, you know, chemicals and food and conditioning, that is lost. But kids know, you know, kids can tell. Like, I remember being at the mountains and just being infatuated by, like, we would go to like the little gold mine things, and you like would mine through and like get your little like quartz or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, or you ever be in the mountains and they have like those rocks, and you can go and like pick what rocks you want to buy, and they're like these smooth, colorful things.
Yeah.
And you just be obsessed with your little bag of rocks.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to love collecting rocks.
Yeah. I've always just been a collector of random things. I went through a stage during the fall, where I would just be, you know, outside doing my regular outside things like grounding and earthing, and I would be picking up leaves that stood out to me because of their colors or their shapes. And I just collected a bunch of them, and I just cleaned up my area the other day, so I had to throw a bunch of them out because they all got dry now, but I made stickers out of them with packaging tape.
Leaf stickers?
Yep, packaging tape and parchment paper.
That's cool.
I might have one laying around here somewhere.
I live in Wilmington, so I'm on the coast, and anytime I go to the beach, I always come back with a shell. And so I have just this like collection of ginormous shells sitting on my, oh god, I just got sand everywhere, sitting on my desk.
Look at my bookshelf.
Oh, that's so cool.
All
that is so cool. Yeah, I have these little shells chilling here too.
I just like collecting random things like that.
Yeah, and you can like see this shell has like a hole in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
right, they always have that hole right there, perfect for a jump ring.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they have a perfect hole that you could like put in a necklace and like put it down here.
Yeah.
And my dad was always big on that. Like, he would make us shell jewelry whenever we'd go to the beach, because he just knows how to do that stuff. So he would like
Yeah.
make cool shit out of shells, and like I would wear it. And you know, I wish I still had them. I wonder where they went because that stuff is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Shells
collecting.
shells are special too. They bring like a sense of tranquility and peace,
Yeah,
metaphysically.
no, I just when I'm bored, I just like to touch it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Sensory
really-
thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. like you play with your fingernail or something. That's what I do with the shells.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is cool.
I love them. I have a bunch because I want to make a summer collection with them for jewelry.
Oh, like jewelry stuff.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I know-
Wrapping
I
the
have-
shells differently.
There's this girl here that makes terrariums. So she'll collect like moss and little like tiny plants and like use them for her terrariums. I have mine over here. Let me grab mine so I can show
Okay.
you guys my terrarium.
That'd be fun.
So, like she collected this moss and like put the moss inside the terrarium,
Yeah.
and there's like rocks that she collected, and then these are shells that I got from Costa Rica, and I put them in there, and like you can see where the moss is like growing up the glass with the sun.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then she built that one, but I built one for my dad for Christmas, and used her stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Terrariums are cool. They're really sick.
Yeah, terrariums are really cool.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that's everything. We covered a lot of stuff. We covered perspective. We covered self-improvement, detachment. I talked a little bit about jiu-jitsu. We talked about reality, perspective, and we talked about your awesome art and creativity and stuff. I'm super glad we went down that path because we covered stuff about intuition and everything. So,
Right.
yeah, Ronnie, thank
Fun
you
stuff.
so much for hopping on this podcast with me and going on this experience where, you know, I don't know about you, but I totally stepped out of my comfort zone. And
Yeah.
look at us now. We're an hour in and we had this awesome conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So-
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ronnie, is there an Instagram or a Twitter or Linktree you'd like to promote right now?
Yeah, I definitely have a link tree for all my jewelry and business deeds. It's just linktree.com/rwaitecreate. That's RWAKECREATE.
And I will definitely put that in like a video description or whatever.
Cool. And then my personal Instagram you can find through that rwaitecreate page, and that is just r.wake.
Awesome. Ronnie,
Yeah.
thank you so much again. I'll stop the
Thank you,
recording.
Steven.
Absolutely.